We're not sweating our numbers. We're not struggling to prospect or find customers. We're not even sweating into quarter. Because we're growing a foundation of A-level sales talent. We're rethinking successful habits. And we're rethinking our entire digital prospecting strategy. We're going to break records and explode our sales funnel. We're doing things differently, and we're doing things better. Better than before. Because this program showed us how to not only excel at sales, but how to become a prospecting master.
Welcome everybody to today's Modern Sales Mastery Show. As always, I am Felipe Gonzalez, social media coordinator and the person behind the scenes. Please, we want to welcome you to a very special episode. But first, let us know in the comments below where you are tuning in from and let all your friends and family know we are live right now. So for this show, I will introduce the guest host for today. He is Stan Robinson Jr., the Senior Director of Training and Coaching here at Vengreso. Please help me welcome Stan Robinson. Stan, take it away.
All righty. Thank you so much, Felipe. Great to be here with all of you. And we're going to be talking today a little bit about branding and your LinkedIn profile and why that's so important for you as a modern seller, a business owner, an entrepreneur, a professional, whatever the case may be in today's digital environment. So let me start with a couple of things, and I just want to make sure everyone is seeing my screen right now with my LinkedIn profile. Thank you, Felipe. Perfect. So we're going to be talking about why this is important and how to use it as a tool to build your personal brand. Now, one of the things about this, and let me change here, is where does this fit into the process? Now, one thing that will be helpful is if you can let me know in chat if you are in sales, if you're a business owner, if you're in customer success, if you're in a totally non-sales role. Let us know in chat so I have a sense of who's on the call. But I'm bringing up this slide, which is maybe a familiar slide to many of you, just to put this into a little bit of context for you. When we go through our training programs in terms of LinkedIn Sales Mastery, we talk about 6 phases. We talk about first mindset, and for the sales professional, understanding what the modern buyer is looking for in the sales professionals that they interact with, what they're expecting, because it's important for those of you who are sellers to understand what your buyers need and want from you as a professional salesperson. Then we talk about brand. Now, the reason why we start with brand as far as the first LinkedIn part of the training is because everything starts with your LinkedIn profile. It's the front door. It's what people are going to look at first. Research shows that 75% of buyers will look at your LinkedIn profile and they will expect to find an informative profile before they engage with you. So keep that in mind, whether we like it or not. Everyone's going to be looking at our LinkedIn profile. Your modern buyer will often be more educated about you and your company's solutions than you are about them because they will have done their research in advance. So the brand is super important. And next in our training, we move to finding and engaging. How do you find the right people? Start building a relationship with them even before you connect with them. And then, of course, as you can see, the next is connecting and starting to network with relevant buyers. Now, Once you've found the right people to build your network with, you started to engage with them, you started to connect with them, you've begun the process of strategically building your network. And the next step is to feed that network that you've built with content that's relevant for them. And then lastly, we talk about establishing a cadence of sales activities, because most people will not be ready to engage with you immediately when you first connect with them. Now, the importance of branding. Let me tell you a quick story. Our daughter is graduating from college 2 days from now. She came home, took a train from Providence, Rhode Island to home here in New Jersey, specifically to get her hair done. She didn't come to see us. She came to get her hair done. So we're really proud of Mel. She did 4 years. Everybody knows what the past 2 years have been like with COVID. She worked very hard. She's graduating summa cum laude. So we couldn't be more proud of what she's done. But I bring this story up because at a personal level, it was one more example of the importance of personal branding and wanting to make sure that you look good, make a good first impression. We volunteered, or my wife volunteered, to pay for the cost of the hair. And the one other thing that I learned is that hair is money. Hair is money. So I learned that last night when I sent the Zelle payment. How does all of this relate to branding? How do we put this into a business context for you? Well, everyone's heard that you only have one chance to make a good first impression. And in today's sales environment, many times your LinkedIn profile is going to be the first impression that your prospects, sometimes your clients, will have of you as a professional. So let's talk about a couple of things. And if you have questions, please drop them into the chat. Felipe is helping me as far as monitoring the chat. If you see me looking over to the side here, it's because I'm just checking to see if any questions have come in. Let's start with your banner, because this is a prominent piece of real estate here in your LinkedIn profile. Now, LinkedIn does provide you with some banner choices, but it is a much better idea to take this as a branding opportunity for you and your company and include something that lets the person visiting your profile know who you are and how you can help them. Everyone on this call right now, everyone on this webinar, and all of the people that you will be interacting with, listen to the same channel. We all listen to a channel called WIIFM, and that stands for What's in It for Me. So when someone comes to visit your LinkedIn profile, you want to make absolutely sure that immediately they understand how you can help them, because that is the only thing that they're interested in. So make sure that your banner lets the person know how you help them. So here at Vengreso, we help our clients prospect better and sell more. We help them build their sales pipeline and get more sales conversations. That is it. So if someone fits the profile in terms of how you can help them, you want to make absolutely sure that they see that right away when they come to your LinkedIn profile. So take advantage of this space with your banner. Next, the photo. Now, I'm on desktop. There are a few differences between the look of things on your profile, depending on whether your viewers on a desktop or mobile. I'm using something called a cover story, but on desktop, you would not know that unless you clicked on my photo. So let me use, and I'm not sure if the other people that I'm looking at here have cover stories.
Hey there. Thanks for stopping by my LinkedIn profile. You know, salespeople tell us.
So this is something that you can add to your profile that most people are not using. The key is that you can only add this video, which is up to a 30-second video, on your mobile device. So you need the LinkedIn app in order to add a cover story. But it's a chance for you in 30 seconds to give your 30-second elevator pitch on video. Now, if someone is looking at your profile on their mobile device, okay, if they have their phone, when they look at your profile on the mobile device, it's going to alternate between your static image and the video, which will give them more of an incentive to go ahead and click the video. But that is the first tip, is take advantage of the opportunity to differentiate yourself, easy for me to say, from others by using the video feature. Now, another one that you should definitely use that not everyone is using is name pronunciation. Now, Stan Robinson Jr., not that hard to pronounce. People can look at it. But others of us have names that sometimes people may stumble over a little bit or mispronounce, and you can help them not only pronounce your name correctly, but you can also do an abbreviated, and by abbreviated, I mean you have 10 seconds, elevator pitch. So let me give you a quick example. Here's Nabila.
Hey, this is Nabila Costa. I help sales teams like yours create more sales conversations. Feel free to reach out via the email in my About section.
Now, the point that I wanted to make is even if your name is super simple to pronounce, take advantage of those 10 seconds to quickly explain to someone who you are and how you can help them. Ideally, what business problem do you solve for them? So, hope that makes sense as far as it goes. The photo, by the way, I think we all know, look straight at the camera. Showing some teeth always helps make you a little bit more relatable. Smile always helps. And use a relatively current photo. Now that we're able to start meeting again in person, one of the things that you want to make sure of is that when a prospect visits you on LinkedIn and they see what you look like, there's a match between that and what they see if they meet you later in person or on a Zoom call or in any other context. It is very disconcerting if you're using a picture that's 5 years or 30 pounds ago and you don't match your picture on LinkedIn. Okay, so just a tip. Now, so we've talked a little bit about what people see visually on your LinkedIn profile in terms of building your brand. Now, let's talk about the next thing that the human eye is drawn to, but this is also where the search engines start to come into play. Because when you're crafting your LinkedIn profile, you're really writing for two entities. First and most important is your human visitor, because that's who your decision makers are. But the second entity to keep in mind are the search engines. Google loves LinkedIn for a number of reasons that I won't get into here. But if you Google your name, and I highly suggest that you do that, your LinkedIn profile should come up in most cases in the top 3 search results on Google. So take advantage of that fact to make sure that your profile presents you the way that you want it to present you. And it should present you, by the way, as a resource for your buyers. It should not look like a resume. So that's why when I highlight this 220 character area that you have available to you in your headline, you'll see Nabila has helping B2B sales teams create more conversations through modern sales training, coaching, and technology. And then she also has, to help brand the company, Vengreso.com here, and her title. Most people simply put their title in their headline and miss a golden opportunity to let people know exactly who she helps and how she helps and the business problem that she solves. So make sure that you take advantage of that space to do that as well. The reason that I mentioned the search engines is because your headline is one of the areas that the search engines index after your name. And one of the next things that they look at right after your name is, what do you have in this 220 character space? So make sure that you include relevant keywords, whether it be B2B sales teams, modern sales training and coaching, prospect, sell more, market development, etc. All right, so take advantage of that space. You notice that she doesn't mention anything here and later in her profile about what a great salesperson she is. So I'm going to jump down to the About section just to point out something that a lot of people aren't doing, and then we'll move back up again. So you'll notice that instead of starting her About section, which is where you have 2,600 characters of space to talk in detail about whatever you'd like to talk about. Well, look at what Nabila is talking about here. She doesn't start out by talking about herself at all. So you don't see quota crushing, President's Club, anywhere here at the top of the About section. Who is she talking to? Sales leaders. Because if it's a sales leader reading her profile, they immediately know that she's talking to them. So take advantage of this space to make sure that you clearly explain who you help, how you help them, in other words, what business problem you solve, and what makes you different from competitors. Now, you can also add a little bit about you as a person, because people always do want to get to know the person behind the professional. And with that, I'm going to stop for just a second because we're going to take a quick commercial break and then we're going to dive right back in. So Felipe, I'm going to turn it over to you. Awesome. Good deal. So wrapping up in terms of the About section and the fact that you want to take advantage of this opportunity to position yourself as a resource for your buyers so that they turn to you when they need advice, when they're looking at new solutions. And the other things I wanted to point out here, you notice the use of emojis, which draw the viewer's eyes to different sections, you'll notice a lot of white space here, which makes it very easy for the reader to view, as opposed to clumping everything into 2 or 3 dense paragraphs. And you'll also notice contact information right here at the bottom of the About section. Now, you may say, Stan, someone can go right up to the top of the profile, click on contact information right here and see all of this. Well, there's a reason why we recommend putting your contact information at the bottom of your About section as well. And as you may guess, it's because people are lazy. And if someone takes the time to read your entire About section, that means that they are interested in what you have to offer. So add your contact information right here at the bottom. So if they're interested, they can simply pick up the phone and call you, email you before they're interrupted by a phone call, a notification on their phone, someone walking into their office, or any of the other million things that interrupt every day of our lives. So make it very easy for people to contact you. Now, I'm going to move back up for just a second, since we're talking about contacting you, and mention something as far as contact info, which is another section that is above the fold on your LinkedIn profile, which just means that people don't have to scroll at all to see this. They can just click on it. So you want to take advantage of it. And you'll notice here that Nabila has grabbed her custom profile URL. So it says Nabila Costa instead of LinkedIn's default numbers, letters along with your name. Websites, you can include 3 websites here, and you notice that these are named. It doesn't just say company website, company blog. A work phone number, a work email. Now, you want your work email to appear as your primary email. Okay, that's an element of branding. However, you should also have a personal email attached to your LinkedIn account as well. The reason being, in the unlikely event that you leave your current employer and lose access to that email that was once your primary, you can use your personal email to continue to get into your LinkedIn account. You can connect as many emails as you want to your LinkedIn account, but make sure your business email is the primary one. Now, how do you name these websites? Well, let's jump over here. Have to go to mine in order to do this right quick. So when you open your contact info and you use the familiar pen or pencil icon, depending on how you look at that, and you come to where you're entering your website URLs. Okay, this part is standard. However, right here, there's a drop down, and the default is either personal or company. But watch what happens to this third field if I select company. Presto, it's gone, which is not what you want. Okay, you want it to appear like these. So how do you get there? Select other at the bottom of this drop down, and then you can type in a description, which also helps with keyword optimization, and it helps your human visitor understand what a URL that might not be exactly clear, exactly what it is. So make sure you do that little trick here, because it will make things easier for both the human visitor and search engines. All right, I'm going to hop over to another one of my colleagues in terms of some of the other sections. We've talked a little bit about taking advantage of your banner, photo, your headline, your contact information, the About section. Whoa, what is this? Featured. Ooh, what is wonderful about this section is you notice these nice big thumbnail images. So this adds texture. It adds a whole nother dimension to your LinkedIn profile with these big images. So if you already are using this, it's simple. you can just add to it. However, if you don't have featured on your profile yet, you may say, well, where do I find this? Because it doesn't appear automatically. To find the featured section, you're going to come right here to Add Profile section. Click on this, and you'll find featured, because they've changed this recently, under Recommended. So the default is Core, but under Recommended, you'll find Add Featured. And as you can see, this is where you can add a number of sections. But I just wanted to make sure that everyone knows exactly how to get to that featured section. And then once you've added a piece of content here, and let me do it. This is what you're going to see when you start adding it for the first time. You see you have the option to add a post. Now, when this is referring to adding a post, it means adding one of your posts. Okay, so it's not adding a link to an external post. This is adding one of your posts that you've already posted on LinkedIn. So when you click on this, it's going to bring you up a selection of posts that you have already posted. And you can simply click Feature if you want to add it, and watch what happens when I click on this. Now, if you want to remove it later, you can do that. But now that appears right here. Okay, you can easily, if you want to, reorder how things appear in featured. So you click on these and you use this little familiar hamburger feature to pull things around. Okay, so take advantage of featured because you can see how it adds to the visual aspect of your profile, and it also positions you as a resource for your audience. Instead of a salesperson like everybody else, where they're simply talking about their product or their service and so forth. Include content here that is not promotional, but that talks about business issues that your decision makers are interested in. So you notice I keep harping on the fact, excuse me, that you want to position yourself as a resource. Excuse me, not just another salesperson. Because bottom line, what's going to differentiate you and your solution from your competitors, because you'll probably be similar in price, similar in product or service features, similar in a lot of ways, but one of the biggest differentiators is you and what you bring to the table as a resource, rather than someone every time you call them up, you're saying, hey, just wanted to see where we're at and whether you're ready to move forward. Okay, now I see we've got about 10 minutes left. So this is one of the reasons why we provide both online training where you can get into this in detail and more extensive training that talks about not only this, but everything else in the other phases that I went through. What I do want to do, though, is show you something else that may not be obvious. So we'll call this a ninja tip. I'm going to go to someone else's profile that just invited me to connect with them. And you notice something right here called People Also Viewed, which many times can be your competitors. So when a prospect is looking at your profile, oftentimes they'll also be looking at your competitors. And I don't know about you, but I don't necessarily want to highlight my competitors for people who are looking at my profile. So there's a way for you to remove this if you don't want your competitors to literally be just a click away from your LinkedIn profile. So the way to do that is to come into your settings, which is right here under your thumbnail. Come into settings and privacy, and under account preferences, you'll find site preferences, which you can also find just by scrolling down. But right down here, you see people also viewed, and you have the opportunity to toggle this on and off. Now, it is up to you, but if you're in sales, I would suggest that you turn this off. And other people may have reasons for keeping it on, but that's just a tip. Now, to wrap up in terms of using your profile for branding, take advantage of other areas on in your profile. Experience. In experience, you have up to 2,000 characters to expand a little bit more on you and what you do specifically. Your about section talks more about who you help, how you help them, what the solution that you provide offers your audience. In experience, you can talk a little bit more about you personally and what you do in your position. However, what I wanted to make sure that we pointed out here was the fact that you should also include media right in here as well. And to do that, I need to come back to my profile. Got it. Okay. Felipe's just giving me a heads up, but I'll finish with this then. To add media in your experience section, you can use the familiar pen icon, scroll all the way down to the bottom. You'll see the option to add media, and you can add a link or upload media. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing, turn it over to Felipe, ask if there are any other questions. I hope this has been helpful, and thank you for joining us. So Felipe, any questions? And I'm going to check the chat, so give me just a second to pop over here. See, alrighty. Good. Felipe, do we have 5 more minutes or should we wrap up? Because there is, okay. Very good. Thank you everyone for joining and look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks, Wendy.